Violet and Carlo Pacileo, welcome to the Tokyo Living Podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us on.
Perhaps you can start off just by giving the listeners and viewers a little bit of background on yourself.
My background, I spent 15 years in the Japanese stock market doing research and sales and all sorts and fund management. And then I founded my company VP Advisors in 2018, and there's a long story, so I'll talk about it later. But we started this. Basically, we moved to Kouchi from Tokyo 2 years ago and started this CrossFit retreat in the mountains.
Perhaps, and a bit about your sort of athletic background. Have you always been into health and fitness?
I have no background in athletics at all. I mean, I did some sports when I was at school, but, I was a finance professional for 15 years. So my job was to basically, decide which stocks to buy and make money. That was my background. But I have been doing CrossFit for maybe 7 years now, just as a hobby on the side.
Yeah. Carl, how about you?
Yeah, so background, first firefighting. I was a firefighter, Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
And then after, I was also in 9/11. So I left the fire department, went to the police department after 9/11. Then I went and started doing security contracting for Blackwater.
Okay.
I found like CrossFit while I was over there in Afghanistan, because like going on different missions and getting dropped off in different bases around Afghanistan. Some of the military bases and the American and some of the British and other ones had these little CrossFit setups, very minimal equipment. So just kettlebells, some bars, pull-up bars and stuff like that. So that's when I first started getting into it.
Mm.
And then, but athletic background, just high school sports, rugby, American football, track, but nothing professional.
Yeah. Very cool. And so this is obviously one of the biggest swings in terms of career changes that one might want to undertake. When did you have the idea of doing this, and what was sort of the driving force? What made you want to do a project like this?
So I founded my company, which runs this business, VP Advisors, in 2018 back in Tokyo. So I was working for my company was a consultancy, basically providing Japanese stock market research to hedge funds overseas.
Okay.
And then just before COVID, Carlo and the kids moved to be closer to my mom in Kouchi. And I was still living in Tokyo by myself, going back and forth. And then the COVID thing happened, and I couldn't do I was mainly doing research on inbound tourism, on how that impacted like the retail sector stocks. So I couldn't do that anymore. I lost my main client overseas. And I decided to be close to the family. So I moved over to Kouchi to be with everybody else. And then, so our family income went from this to zero overnight. So I'm like, okay, oh my God, I'm going to have to make money. What am I going to do? I looked at different business opportunities over here, and Carlo's very laid back, so he was very supportive in whatever I decided to do. So I actually looked at 3 different business models. I came up with like 3 different spreadsheets with investment returns and financial forecasts, and I thought CrossFit probably would be the best fit for us, because the next thing I wanted to do, I wanted us to have a family business. I didn't want to be the one working and Carlo having to look after the kids. I wanted to do something together. So CrossFit seemed like a good match because that was my hobby. Carlo's like, fitness related. I thought it'd be perfect for him. So I made the decision for him. But, he agreed, and he's very laid back. So he was supportive. And it took me 2 years to raise 120 million yen to build this facility. Wow. Here we are now.
Wow. And how did you actually go about raising that money for the facility?
So the first thing I did when I came here was I created my business plan, and I created a pitch book, and I just started randomly calling different people. I'm like, hi, you don't know me, but can you listen to my business idea? And I just did that with just everyone and everyone. I was out there doing meetings all day long, and Carlo's like, you're wasting your time. You should be enjoying yourself. You know, we moved to the countryside. And I'm like because I'm like, oh my God, well, how am I going to pay? You know, how am I going to put food on the table for everyone? Like, I need to go out there and just meet people. So randomly calling everyone, and then my network became bigger and bigger and bigger. And then these people were like introducing me to different people from different companies. And then the board of one of the board members from the local bank heard about me and came all the way here to see me, heard about my business plan, and then like people started to help. And so, you know, someone told me that there was a central government grant coming out in 6 months and you should apply for it. And I did. I didn't think I was going to get it, but I won the grant. So half of this is being paid by the grant. And that wasn't easy to get because, you know, there's lots of paperwork, lots of, you know, things you have to fill out. And the local Chamber of Commerce couldn't really help me because it was so above their, you know, anything they've ever done. So I ended up doing the whole thing myself without anyone helping me. And yeah, I managed to get Roxeman from the central government and Roxeman from a local bank.
And going into this, I mean, you're in Kouchi, which for some listeners who might not be aware of the geographical location, that's down in Shikoku. I actually used to live in Kouchi 22 years ago. I did an Uchideshi, a karate scholarship program down there. But where are you actually in relation to the city? How rural is it? And I guess with all that in mind, what sort of market research did you do leading into it? You know, are there many sort of fitness facilities aside from your typical big box sort of gyms down there? And were you confident that you would be able to get the clientele that you wanted to actually be able to run a CrossFit box?
Good question. Well, I did have to do lots of research before I could get this grant or the bank loans. So I did do a lot of research around that. So Kouchi is it has the least number of fitness facilities across Japan. So per capita is very, very small. So there's a lot of growth opportunity here, not just in the rural areas, but Kouchi as a whole and Shikoku as a whole don't have that many fitness facilities. It's only the last like 2 or 3 years that it's really like accelerated. The growth has accelerated, but they're still really behind compared to Tokyo or compared to global trends. So global trends, as you know, is moving away from global gyms and smaller personal training style gyms or yoga or CrossFit is growing. So, and it's similar in Tokyo, but here, they haven't even had that growth in global gyms yet. So people are still, you know, don't even know how to train. They don't even have a routine where they join a fitness, like a global gym. So that's where Kouchi is. So we've come in and we've brought the CrossFit concept. Nobody has any idea what CrossFit is. So it's been really interesting. But so there's a lot of growth opportunity there. There's no competition whatsoever anywhere near here. You know, drive 2 hours and still no fitness centers. So, you know, I think in terms of competition, that's quite good for us. Got the first mover advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how's it been received? I mean, how are people taking to it? What's your
the local media love us. Like we get so many calls from TV stations, newspapers, magazines, like every week there's someone here. They've never seen anything like it. So that's been very positive for us. Yeah.
Sometimes it's annoying because they just want to come and take photos.
Yeah. Oh, we saw you on TV. And they're just randomly walking around taking photos.
Right. So they don't actually want to come and train. They just want to admire what you've done and get involved with the hype. So in terms of what are your main goals with the business then? I mean, obviously you've talked a little bit about the advantage you have in terms of being the first type of business of this kind in that region. And I imagine part of it is just raise awareness for fitness and for health and trying to encourage more people into a healthy lifestyle and becoming stronger and all that. But are there any other sort of bigger goals that you have with the business?
Well, for me, I always say there's 2 goals. First is to promote health and fitness to the local people. You know, there's a lot of elderly people living here, including my mother who's 74. And I want to see them get healthier and stronger. I don't want my mother for example, just getting older and not being able to get out of a futon in the morning or go up the stairs. You know, she was getting that way. So seeing her improve, because she's been doing CrossFit for a year now, and seeing her health improve has been amazing for me. And then the second reason why I'm doing this is because I want to revitalize the region. That was how I want this grant. I want to try and inject money into the region by bringing tourism, spending here.
And how are you going about? Have you started to, I guess, try to collaborate with other businesses and things to try and encourage that tourism into the area?
Yeah, so we're very lucky because when you live in the countryside, there's a lot of help from the local government. So the local government has this regional tourism board that helps local businesses, and they help us promote our business. So they do all this PR for free, which is nice. So they try and collaborate with us, with local rafting companies, for example, to try and pitch that to like schools in the cities or, you know, universities or businesses who want to come and do a summer camp or like a company retreat. So it becomes like a little package tour for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, we get a lot of free advertising through the local government, which is nice.
And are there other ways in which you're sort of involved with the local community?
That's on my to-do list. I definitely want to do more with the local elderly population because I know they don't do much. This town especially doesn't do much on that yet. And I know talking to other people from other towns, the local towns should be promoting health and fitness for the local elderly. So that's the first thing I want to do. And then the second one I want to do is like try and provide fitness classes to the local kids through the schools. Because when you live in the countryside, there's only like maybe 3 or 5 kids per year. It's a very small school. So they're going to have to start outsourcing everything. They don't have enough kids to play school sports. So these kids don't play sports at all.
Oh, really?
So yeah. And I think, I know it's the trend is going that way in rural towns across Japan. So I want to try and get like a contract with the local schools where they can come and train as part of their sports. They can come and do some weightlifting or anything really here.
Yeah, there's just absolutely nothing as far, especially like team sports.
Really?
Yeah, not enough kids.
Pretty bad, yeah. And we have to drive an hour twice a week just to get our kids to track practice.
Oh, really? Yeah. And I think you were talking off air before we started about a weightlifting competition or powerlifting competition that you had recently.
Yeah, that was great. Got the community involved. A lot more people showed up than we thought. And just looking around at the smiles, everyone had a good time.
Yeah. And that's with the weightlifting association of Kouchi. So we partner with them. And we want to try and do this on an annual basis because, you know, the goal of it for them, I guess, for the association is to get more people involved interested in weightlifting, to increase the population of weightlifters. And the great thing with CrossFit across the globe is like CrossFit has kickstarted that interest in weightlifting again, because I think it was like kind of like a dying sport.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was really nice seeing like CrossFitters from across the country, not just CrossFit, the weightlifters too come, and there were lots of kids too, and the kids' parents were saying there's no competition right now for primary school kids for weightlifting, so they were really excited, and I think we might get more people to join next year because
it was kind of bad timing. There was the Japanese national championships around the same weekend.
No,
the weekend before,
2 weekends ago.
But we
scheduled it deliberately to miss that. So we've got the national schedule, and then the Japan one, the Kokutai was the first weekend.
The one in Okinawa.
Are you talking about Japan Championships CrossFit?
Yeah.
Not weightlifting. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the week before. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I know a lot of people that well, not a lot of people, but a certain number of people that have gotten into CrossFit and then through CrossFit gotten into specializing in weightlifting and entering tournaments sort of later in their athletic lives. So I think it's a really cool thing. Yeah. And how many did you have many athletes from your facility participating in that?
Yeah, Billy. He did,
We had our son.
Oh yeah, our kids, sons.
Yeah, both of our sons, and Billy's their English teacher at the school.
Okay.
He joined, and he's an Aussie, right?
Yeah, he never done weightlifting in his life. He was so brave.
Yeah.
So we taught him for 2 weeks on how to just do the basic movements.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was very brave. Yeah, I was proud of him.
Oh, very cool. And so with your sort of day-to-day running of the facility, I mean, how does it work? Is it all class-based? Do you have sort of one-on-one training? Are you guys doing the coaching? Do you have other coaches? What sort of, at the moment, what does a daily schedule look like for you guys?
Well, today she had a one-on-one. There's 2 classes, and I have kids class later on.
Yeah.
And a couple more classes.
Yeah. So we have CrossFit classes. We have a G class, which is for elderly people, geriatrics. And we also, which is CrossFit based. We have kids class, we have a weightlifting class, we have a Spartan class. Yep. And then also we do open gym at the same time, because it's a big facility. Even if there's a class going on, people can come and just work out if they want to. So if someone's traveling, for example, and they can join a class, or they can just use the gym as an open gym. They don't have to join the class. If they're not into CrossFit, they don't have to do CrossFit. They can just work out if they want to.
Okay, right. And how many members do you have at the moment?
Oh, not many. We're working on that. We've only been open for less than 2 months, so
right. Okay.
It's
and the coaches is just us and one other guy from Tokyo that came down.
Yeah, he's a Spartan coach, so he does the Spartan training.
Okay, nice. And what we talked about, obviously raising the capital to open the facility, and if for those of you, or for those that are actually watching the video recording of this, you can see the gym in the background, and looks like a beautiful, amazing facility there. Apart from that, though, what have been some of the other challenges, the main challenges in terms of getting the business started?
So the raising money was quite challenging for me, because I did that all by myself. Looking for talent in the countryside has been quite difficult. We're really lucky that we found Naoki. And we didn't even approach him. We've known him for a long time from our CrossFit Nishaz every days. And he just wanted to train in the countryside, and saw that I put up an ad on my Instagram, and he contacted me like a few weeks before we opened. It was just really lucky that we found him. So finding talent's really difficult. Marketing is difficult, because you can't, people don't use the internet in the countryside. They don't even have a laptop. So how do we can't use the normal marketing route. So we have to create flyers and actually physically hand them out, which has been a challenge. And most people live high up in the mountain. It's not like we can walk there. And then the time constraint, because there's only 3 of us doing it. It's not just this box. This is not, the 120 million yen didn't just go onto this here. It went into this whole facility, which is 1,500 square meter, compound. So we've got an accommodation building. We've got this. We've got outdoor barbecue space. We've got a campsite. We've got and then changing rooms are another, a building next door. So it's a big compound. So having to manage all that ourselves. For example, this weekend, I was in Okinawa for 3 days for my friend's wedding. Naoki was away on a competition. So Carlo was here by himself, which meant that you have to rent out the e-bikes by yourself while you teach the class. And then somebody came and booked through booking.com in the morning. So you had to, in between teaching classes, had to go into the tiny house, put the bed sheets on, because there's nobody else. Usually we'll have 2 or 3 staff on, but over the weekend he was by himself. So that's challenging, isn't it? At the moment, we don't have enough people to manage everything.
Yeah, everything starts off.
He's texting me and he's like, where's the air pump for the bikes? And I'm like, oh, I forgot, I haven't bought it yet. So things like that.
Yeah, we had to use the kids.
Yeah, I had to use the kids' air pump.
The joys of starting a new business. I know it well. And so I guess if people are sort of watching and CrossFit enthusiasts or people that just want to go down and experience what you've got going on down there, you mentioned that you've got sort of accommodation quarters there. Are there other accommodation options in the area if people want to go down and combine maybe some training with sort of a general countryside holiday where they're doing some rafting and all that sort of stuff? How would they go about that?
Yeah, there's accommodation in walking distance. It's a small pension that has like a B&B type of place.
Yeah.
And there's an onsen not too far away.
Yeah.
They can stay.
Yeah. So our place only houses up to 4 people because it's a tiny house rental and we've got barbecue on the deck. So that's attached. But I have to mention, this whole place was designed by a female architect. So everything, tiny house, our changing rooms, all uses like local hinoki wood. So it's so nice. Like you can smell the wood when you go in. It's all sustainably built. There's no plastic. And it uses local wood. So if you're a sustainable person, this is the place to stay. However, if you're on a budget, there are lots of cheap B&Bs around that don't have flushing toilets. If you don't mind that, there are lots of those. Or if you want to drive, to the next prefecture, it's only 15 minutes from here. There's the onsens, Oboke, Iya Valley. That's 15 minutes drive from here. Or, I'm trying to promote the sound. So there are lots of accommodations on the top of the mountains, like Ijorista Park and Kajigamori. They do camping, lodges, and you can see like a sea of clouds in the morning because you're high up. So you can see the clouds below you, which is nice.
And so if people want to either make a booking to come and see you guys or just find out a little bit more about what you've got going on down there, we'll obviously put all the links in the show notes. But do you guys have a website, social handles? Where can people find you?
Yeah, website, www.otoyostrength.com. It's kind of halfway built. You can access it, but we're still editing it, so it's not perfect.
Yeah.
That's there. And Instagram, CrossFit Otoyo Strength.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and you can book through there. There's a booking link on there.
Awesome. Well, I think what you guys have done is amazing. It's always very cool to see someone sort of go from one area of life and then sort of follow a passion to do something completely different. And congratulations on what you've done so far, and all the best for the future of the business. And thanks very much for coming on the show today.
Thanks.
No problem.
All right. Thank
you. Yeah, and I hope you guys can come down.
Yeah.
For sure, would love to. It looks amazing. I'd love to go and visit some friends that I made 22 years ago down in Kouchi, and I could combine that with a trip to come and see you guys. Sounds great.